Everything you think you know about Marilyn Monroe's beauty was constructed. The platinum hair, the glowing skin, the soft voice, even the way she moved. None of it was accidental. Marilyn Monroe wasn't discovered, she was designed. And once you see how Hollywood built her, you realize she may have been the first modern celebrity prototype. When Norma Jean walked into Hollywood, she wasn't myth. She was uncertain, brown-haired, soft-spoken, replaceable. She had worked in a factory, modeled occasionally, smiled for small photographers. There was nothing about her at that moment that guaranteed immortality. But 1950s Hollywood wasn't searching for authenticity. It was searching for control. The studio system at the time functioned like a manufacturing plant. Actors didn't just sign contracts, they surrendered identity. Their appearance, roles, interviews, even personal relationships could be shaped, negotiated, and repackaged. Public image wasn't personal. It was corporate property. Norma Jean, as she was, had limited market value. But Marilyn Monroe could be valuable. The transformation began not with personality, but with light. Her hair was not casually dyed blonde for fashion. It was processed repeatedly into a very specific platinum tone that reflected maximum light under black and white film. Cinematographers understood that darker shades absorbed light, platinum reflected it. Under studio lamps, platinum shimmered, and shimmer translated to screen presence. Lighting technicians adjusted exposure specifically for her face. Soft focus lenses reduced harsh edges. Diffusion techniques blurred texture. Some photographers even applied petroleum jelly to lenses to create a glow effect around her outline. She didn't just look luminous, she was engineered to glow. And makeup became a science. Her lips were not painted with a single shade. They were layered, darker tones around the edges, lighter shades in the center to create volume. Gloss added selective reflection. Under intense lighting, this created the illusion of fullness long before contouring trends existed. Her eyebrows were shaped to create a perpetual expression of openness, slightly lifted, never severe. Even her posture was refined. Shoulders relaxed, chin slightly lowered, neck elongated. Flat expression looked ordinary. Controlled expression looked iconic. But here's where the story deepens. Marilyn was not unaware of this transformation. She studied it obsessively. She watched her own footage frame by frame. She analyzed how slight chin tilts changed her facial softness, how pausing before a line created anticipation, how looking up from beneath her lashes suggested vulnerability. She practiced walking in front of mirrors. Slow, measured, intentional. The famous Marilyn walk, hypnotic, rhythmic, wasn't just instinct, it was rehearsed timing. Repetition became performance. Performance became identity, and identity became brand. But beauty was only the first layer of construction. The deeper engineering was psychological. Post-war America projected stability on the surface, but underneath it, it was adjusting. Soldiers had returned home, traditional gender roles were being reinforced. The culture wanted reassurance. It wanted glamour, but not confrontation. It wanted sensuality, but not dominance. Marilyn became that paradox. She appeared desirable yet emotionally accessible, playful yet non-threatening. Her softness was strategic. Her breathy voice, encouraged and refined, projected vulnerability. The dumb blonde stereotype wasn't simply an insult. It was a safety mechanism. It made her safe to desire, and it sold tickets. But the contradiction beneath the surface is what makes the story powerful. While magazines reduced her to body measurements, Marilyn was reading literature. While headlines emphasized innocence, she was studying acting under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. She wanted serious roles, psychological complexity, depth. She wasn't just performing beauty, she was performing awareness. And at the height of her fame, she made a decision that revealed that awareness. In 1955, she left Hollywood, not because she was failing, but because she wanted control. She moved to New York, formed her own production company, demanded better scripts. For a woman in the 1950s, that was not small rebellion. It was structural defiance. She challenged the studio system that built her. She understood that she had been engineered, and she was attempting to redesign herself. But the public preferred the illusion. Hollywood had created something too profitable to complicate. The blonde bombshell was easier to market than the intelligent strategist. And that tension between constructed image and conscious self is what makes Marilyn Monroe enduring. Because what Hollywood perfected in the 1950s has become standard today. Curated lighting, engineered vulnerability, designed persona, calculated authenticity. Modern influencers adjust angles, refine image, shape perception, sometimes knowingly. Marilyn was doing it decades earlier, but she was doing it within a system powerful enough to amplify it globally. Her beauty wasn't fake, it was intentional. And intentional images carry power because they are built to reflect desire, not reality. Marilyn Monroe wasn't simply a woman with platinum hair. She was a projection of cultural fantasy, engineered at the intersection of optics, psychology, branding, and repetition. And that blueprint still operates today. Because once beauty becomes construction, it becomes timeless.
But designing an icon is one thing. Living inside the design is another. By the mid-1950s, Marilyn Monroe was no longer just a movie star. She was a symbol. And symbols don't belong to themselves. They belong to the public. The same studio system that amplified her image also confined it. Contracts dictated roles. Publicists shaped interviews. Even rumors were sometimes allowed to circulate if they increased attention. In Hollywood, attention was currency, and Marilyn generated enormous currency. But attention has weight. The more her image was simplified into the blonde bombshell, the harder it became to express complexity. Directors often cast her in roles that reinforced the stereotype. Interviews focused on her appearance more than her opinions. The public laughed at the persona. They rarely listened to the woman. And that dissonance between how she was seen and who she believed she was created pressure. Because once you become an engineered symbol, you are expected to remain consistent. Icons are not allowed to evolve easily. But Marilyn wanted evolution. After forming her own production company, she pushed for roles that required emotional range. She negotiated contracts with more leverage. She demanded respect. That shift wasn't just professional, it was psychological. She was attempting to reclaim authorship over her own narrative. But the system that built her image resisted complexity. Complexity does not market as easily as simplicity. The dumb blonde was predictable. An intelligent, strategic, emotionally layered woman was harder to categorize, and Hollywood prefers categories. Media scrutiny intensified. Headlines amplified vulnerability. Every personal struggle became public spectacle. Relationships were examined. Friendships were analyzed. The private self became impossible to protect. And here is the paradox. The very qualities that made her image powerful, softness, vulnerability, emotional openness, made her personally exposed. When you build a brand around emotional accessibility, you erase protective distance. The public felt close to her, but closeness invites entitlement. She became less of a person and more of a projection screen. Audiences projected desire, fantasy, insecurity, and expectation on her, and projections are impossible to satisfy fully. This is the hidden cost of being constructed. You are admired for the image, but rarely understood beyond it. Yet even inside that pressure, Marilyn demonstrated awareness. She understood publicity mechanics.